The roses, the roses. Yeah, this one
Whee!
I didn't get into NoFX in 1983 when they first came out, and Fat Mike is probably the most notable member. I mean, there there's the three original members kind of stayed throughout most of it. They had a handful of other changes for the fourth guy, and they had a trumpet. He played trumpet and lead guitar, and I think he's the one that most notably as a four piece. And and like I said, 83 is when they formed. Fat Mike, he was 16 at the time. And I didn't really, I mean, 83 was way too early for me to get into any kind of music. I was, barely out of diapers. But
Hmm.
it was 2011, probably, I don't know, between 2011 to 2016 when Fat Mike did it, was part of a documentary, The Other F Word. And it's a bunch of old punk guys and being fathers. The other F word is fathers, so it shows them in their as they've grown up and how things have changed. And lot of good punk icons, lead singer. It wasn't just lead singers, but it was just members of the band. Flea was in there.
Hmm.
Blink 182, one of the guys, I can't think of his name. And then I mean a lot of hardcore stuff, more hardcore stuff. But it was funny to see how their day to day life. And Fat Mike, he's been known to wear a dress or two, and ladies' underwear probably. But so imagine him taking his kid to school and what kind of shock and awe that would ensue. So that I found that pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
They've always kind of done their own thing. They didn't get on a major level. And Epitaph was the biggest label they were with, and then they did them for a little bit, and then Fat Mike started his own label, and they've done the majority of their stuff on their own label. So they've been very very free to what they put out, and it shows because there's a lot of edgy, a lot of weird stuff. I didn't go too edgy with my list just because we want to easy into this stuff, and it's so my number five is off their 1989 album S&M Airlines, and the song is called Life O'Reilly, and it's kind of a fun, happy song. And like I said, all their songs are like 2 minutes, 2:30, fast punk songs. Just
Did you say S&M Airlines?
S&M Airlines, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
All of their songs are very witty. Their titles are very witty, very catchy. You're like, what the hell is going on here? But it's in '89 they were still kind of raw. This was off of I don't remember the name of the label they were with, but it was a smaller label. And so, obviously, obvious recording was a lot different back then. So it's a raw sound, but musically, everything's pretty tight. And a lot of people think of punk and they think of loud and not really talent. I mean, just kind of making noise is what
Mhm.
punk is generally associated with. But they didn't really do that. Even in that early days, they musically had a good feel of what it was, and that's kind of why they stuck out to me. It wasn't just making noise, and then they had the satirical, the wittiness of all their lyrics and their names that just really, really sold it home for me. But Life
Mhm.
O'Reilly is kind of a I'm gonna live my life the way I want to type of song.
Mm. I like those kinds of songs.
Yeah, and it's just it's a punky, raw song. And my number four is Out of Angst, and there's a lot of angst in their music, but in 1997 on the album So Long, Thanks for All the Shoes, Fat Mike ran out of angst. So I don't know what happened there. And they didn't really get popular till like 94 when the Green Days and the Offspring started having some mainstream success.
Mhm.
So it was 94 that when they got popular with a song that's coming up here. But before we get to that, number three is Sellout, spelled like in a jail cell, but
Uh-huh.
it's still a song about his rebuttal to people saying he sold out.
Mhm.
I wouldn't, I don't like the term. So I mean, I don't like a lot of terms, but the whole point of it is to play your music and make money. As long as you don't change your sound or let the labels take complete control of what you do, I don't think
Mhm.
you're selling out. If you start making money, because a lot of times people start making money and you get called a sellout, even though they're doing what they would have done if they weren't
With
making
or
it.
without it, right.
So, I don't think they sold out. I would never accuse them of selling out, but this song is just a driving guitar. And this was 2012, so this is a lot of years after them first years. So the recording is crisp and this guitar is just punch you in the face and it's just like, whoa. And then
Mhm.
it's just, a witty rebuttal to, yeah, I sold out, but not really.
Ah.
Number 2, like I said, 94 was where they took a lot of started getting a lot of popularity outside of the punk scene, I mean, because that was when all the other bands, like I said, were coming out. And this album is Punk in Drublic, a play on drunk in public,
Uh,
Punk
uh-huh,
in
uh-uh.
Drublic. And the song is Linoleum, and this is probably one of their I'd heard this song a long time ago, but it didn't really resonate with me when I heard it. It didn't make me a fan until I appreciate it now after I'm a fan of theirs. But
Mhm.
it's a good classic. This is kind of when the recording started to sound better, and again, it doesn't have that junky sound that punk has. It sounds like a really good, clean recording.
Mhm.
And the one that got me into them, this was off their 2016 album, First Ditch Effort. And I said, I love the names
Uh,
of all of their albums. I love the names of all of them. It's just so great. And this song is Oxymoronic. And I love
okay.
a good moronic moment here, but the song's basically slamming Big Pharma about
Mhm.
about how they're killing us, and it's funny they take the names of all these drugs like uh, Valium and all the names of all the prescription drugs, and
Mhm.
they put them in the lyrics. You guys, I can't articulate it properly. You're just gonna have to hear it. But oxymoronic, listen to the wit in this song. This is the most witty song I've ever heard, and I love it.
Mhm.
And I listen to
Mhm.
that one quite regularly, and that's what got me into them. And then I started going back and listening to some more of their stuff, and I'm a fan.